Is PC gaming beginning to die right now? It kind of feels like we are at a huge crossroads with the GPU market recovering, which people have been asking for years. But now all of those graphics cards, mostly from miners, are being dumped onto the aftermarket, and not even a lot of people are really biting at them. I feel like maybe some PC gamers, or just gamers in general, have kind of gotten jaded over the past couple of years because of the lack of being able to get graphics cards, or even next generation consoles has also been extremely difficult. And now we have companies like NVIDIA and AMD, stock prices plummeting by 50% in the last 6 months and starting to reduce orders significantly from chip manufacturers like TSMC for their upcoming lineups of products. Also, I do want to talk to you about AMD FSR 2.0 getting another mod, this time in Dying Light 2, and also some free games that you can grab yourself this 4th of July weekend. So let's get fired into it. But first, today's video is brought to you by KeysFan.com and their software super deal, where you can get some of the best prices out there on Microsoft software. Especially with my coupon code, you can get half off of Windows keys, as well as 62% off on Microsoft Office products like Windows 10 Pro, Windows 11 Pro, and Office 2019 Professional Plus, and Office 2021 Professional Plus. And they've also got a bundle with Windows 10 Pro and Office 2019 in the same package. To save money on Windows 10 Pro, just go ahead and add the key to your cart, which starts off at $15.17. But once you get into your cart, you can go ahead and apply my discount code at checkout, YTB50, and that will give you a shocking 50% off, bringing the price down to just over $7 at $7.58. And when you proceed to checkout, you can pay with either a credit card or PayPal, whichever one happens to fit your needs. And this also applies to Microsoft Office products, but again, you're going to get 62% off on Office products with the code YTB62 at checkout. Applying that to the $67.40 price, Office 2019 brings the price down to a stunning $25.61. So I don't know what you're waiting for. If you need your software keys, head over to KeysFan.com right now and be sure to use those coupon codes at checkout. YTB50 on Windows products for half off, and YTB62 for 62% off on Microsoft Office products. First up, I wanted to cover this news story about NVIDIA and AMD reducing their orders significantly from TSMC, who they were going to be using for their upcoming lineup of products in 2022, as well as 2023. More specifically, NVIDIA, who has the 40 series pretty much right around the corner. We're looking at the end of summer through September, October, as they'll probably stagger out the releases from the top down, as they traditionally have done over recent years. So this report comes from DigiTimes that was translated and posted over here on videocards.com, and some of the highlights of that were AMD reducing orders for 7 and 6 nanometer wafers by roughly 20,000 in total for Q4 of 2022 and the first quarter of 2023. However, order volume for 5 nanometer wafers for PCs and servers has not been affected, which makes sense that for data centers and stuff like that, there's still going to be a demand there, but it does seem like there may be a problem in the gaming sector. As we continue on with NVIDIA, after defecting from Samsung back to TSMC and making huge prepayments to secure more 5 nanometer and below capacity, now facing weaker than expected demand from gaming, along with enormous channel inventory and used GPUs dumped into the market by miners, wants to cut orders for the next generation 5 nanometer RTX 40 series. However, TSMC is unwilling to make concessions, only agreeing to allow delaying first shipments by 1 quarter or even to 1 quarter, first quarter 2023. NVIDIA, however, is responsible for finding replacement customers for any vacated production capacity. So this is all sounding very familiar. If you remember, before the whole pandemic started in 2020, there was also a GPU crisis in, I think it was like 2017, 2018, around there, when Ethereum started to come onto the scene pretty heavy, and GPUs were nowhere to be found for a significant period of time. And that we had also experienced that some years before with Bitcoin, when mining for that started to sort of take off like a rocket. And NVIDIA and AMD, in most of those instances, sort of were left there holding the bag. And when it happened again with Ethereum, they pretty much had backed off, and they didn't want to overextend themselves and make so many products that once this boom started to fall off, that they would be left there, like I said, holding the bag and having all of this excess product that they can't get rid of because miners don't want to buy them anymore. There's not enough gamers willing to buy them, and they're competing with their own products that are now being sold at a massive discount on the aftermarket, where there's a lot of trust issues as well from would-be gamers trying to buy those cards, because the fear is that they've been overused to excess in very hot mining situations running 24/7, which is obviously going to decrease the longevity of the graphics card. So with all of this perfect storm happening again, it seems like NVIDIA at least has overextended themselves again this time here, and they've kind of screwed themselves, as they've already put in prepayments to TSMC, and they pretty much already have an agreement with them for a certain amount of products, and TSMC is like, well, we're not letting you out of it. You already ordered it, so you're getting, like, we'll delay orders by a little bit, but at the end of the day, you're going to be responsible for this. So unless you can find someone else to buy them, they're going to be yours, one way or another. Whether you like it or not, these chips are going to be yours, and they're going to be out in the market. So I would say towards the end of this year, we might see a pretty big increase in that new RTX 40 series supply. But eventually, they're gonna have tons of this inventory eventually at some point. That seems pretty clear, but it seems like they're almost going to have more than what they need unless crypto starts to bounce back, which doesn't really seem to be happening anytime in the very near future. And because of the slowdown in cryptocurrency that's been happening over the last 6 months and the massive decline in those values, it has massively affected the stock prices of NVIDIA as well as AMD. As you can look over here, you can see NVIDIA and AMD stock price dropping almost lock in step, one for the other, over the last 6 months by almost exactly 50% for both of them, dropping down to 151, which is $149 per share decrease. So obviously they were peaking at around 300. And for AMD, it's exactly the same story, where they dropped from around 150-ish down to now about $76 is what they're selling per share. So both of them have been hurt by this, but also over the last couple of years, they've done incredibly well. So it's kind of really hard, to feel bad for these companies in these situations, because they definitely profited from it while gamers were sat here, idly waiting to be able to get their hands on products. And it makes no surprise to me that some PC gamers maybe have moved on. Maybe they were able to find a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, or maybe they decided to move on from PC gaming entirely because they got bored of waiting, or maybe they realized that their 1080 Ti from a couple years, or 2080 from a couple years ago, actually has a little bit more longevity in it than they had initially thought, and didn't feel the need to run out there and buy one of these cards now that they have finally become available. And also people are waiting because the rumors have already started to circulate. We know that the next generation of cards from NVIDIA and AMD are going to be coming in due time. And it doesn't really make much sense to buy one of these cards right now, especially if in a few months from now you kind of have buyer's remorse because the new cards come out, and then you go to resell that card and you're probably going to take a loss on it because you're still going to be dealing with the miners and all of that trying to resell their product from the previous generation. So it's sort of a rough time right now, maybe for the PC gaming industry, but it's actually is a good time for PC gamers, because you can actually do builds now at a reasonable price. There's regular inventory in stock on Amazon, Newegg, all the other e-tailers, and graphics cards are selling below MSRP. I saw like a fully decked out EVGA 3-fan RTX 3080 Ti, which was MSRP like $1,299, selling for $1,050, and it came with a free game. And I think it got some cash back too. So that's the state of the GPU market, fellas. It's bounced back pretty quick, and NVIDIA and AMD are feeling it. Next up, I did want to bring some awareness. As we talked about the other day, with Cyberpunk 2077 being the first game to get an FSR 2.0 mod, Dying Light 2 has now joined that. And as I covered in that video and last week, FSR 2.0 is now open source. And as I hypothesized, once that happened, it would only be a matter of time before modders started implementing it into games, and now we're starting to see that happen pretty frequently here, as it's actually using a very similar, if not exactly the same method as previously here for Dying Light 2. Now, the mod for Cyberpunk was available over on Nexus. This is available over on GitHub. I'll have links to everything down in the description below. But looking at the installation instructions, it's the exact same process. You're essentially going to be downloading an NVGX DLLL file, which you'll put into the same folder as your game's executable. And then you'll also have a registry overwrite, enable signature override registry edit, which you'll run. It'll do automatically. And what that essentially does is it replaces DLSS in the game with FSR. So the built-in DLSS slider or the quality setting that a game would have essentially starts to act like it is FSR. It becomes FSR, meaning if you're running on an AMD card or an older NVIDIA GTX card that doesn't support DLSS, that you'll be able to take advantage of the upscaling in Dying Light 2 or Cyberpunk 2077 or any of the other games that are going to be having these mods becoming available to them in the very near future. So awesome to see. Like I said, I'll have links to everything, all the sources down below, as well as this GitHub page if you want to grab the FSR 2.0 mod for Dying Light 2. And if you're interested, maybe in a couple days or so, we'll maybe jump in and do some testing on it or do a guide if you guys feel like it. But it's pretty straightforward. Honestly, if you go back and look at my Cyberpunk video, the installation process, like I said, is going to be identical for this. You're just going to be doing it in a Dying Light 2 folder rather than the Cyberpunk folder. So it'll be pretty repetitive, honestly, and redundant, the information. But maybe it's something we could do if enough people do want to see it. And lastly, before we get out of here, wanted to make you guys aware of 3 free games you can grab right now over on the Epic Store, which will be free until July 7th. Those games are Geneforge 1 Mutagen, Iratas, Lord of the Dead, and Hood Outlaws and Legends. These are the 3 games cover art right here, and they're available free right now on the Epic Storefront. So definitely grab them. Honestly, I'm not too familiar with most of these games. I am familiar with and I've heard of Hood, Outlaws, and Legends, which is a PvPvE type of online experience, online co-op type of thing. But it has like mixed reviews on Steam and stuff like that, which is also on sale on Steam for like $5 because they've got their summer sale going on. But yeah, this is one I might actually try. The other 2, I don't really know too much about them at all, honestly. So I don't know if you've played any of these games before. Let me know in the comments if they're worth even downloading and try. But I'll always grab these free games on Epic because, like, what does it hurt to grab it and throw it in my library? Maybe in a year from now it'll get like viral popularity and everyone will be talking about it because of some new update, and I'll be like, oh well, maybe I'll go check this out now. But that's all I've got for you guys today. Hope you all have a happy 4th of July weekend. Stay cool, stay safe, and don't stay sober. Have a good time. I'll catch you guys next time for another video. Peace.